The Portuguese coast at dusk opens before you, where the horizon softens into a watercolor of pale rose, violet, and deepening blue. The air holds the salt of the Atlantic, and the quiet rhythm of the waves seems to breathe with you, as if guiding you toward a secret you'll uncover only as the night unfolds. Before we begin, find a place where you can rest. Let your body sink into comfort. Tonight, I'll take you on a quiet journey to a place where only peace waits for you. Put on your headphones if you can, and stay with me until the very end, as each word will guide you deeper into the night. As you lie back, I invite you to imagine this coast in your mind's eye. And if you'd like, share in the comments where in the world you are listening from and what time the night finds you there. It is always a wonder, this sense of connection across time zones and places, how we meet together here at Nightfall, travels, gathering in the calm tide of story. The waves roll in again, steady, unhurried, each one carrying a hushed memory as though they have come from far across the ocean, bringing with them whispers of distant lands. The dusk light lingers longer than you expect, tinting the stones along the shoreline with a faint glow. You let yourself listen to the rhythm, letting it wash through your chest, your shoulders, your hands. And there is something else, an open promise waiting along this shore. You can sense it already, though you don't yet know its shape. Perhaps it is the memory of footsteps left long ago. Perhaps a tale the ocean is eager to share. Tonight, it will come to you gently, piece by piece, until its meaning rests easily in your heart. You take a breath now, slow, deep, inhaling the salt, cool air, exhaling the warmth from your chest. Each breath settles you a little deeper, as though the waves themselves were carrying away the weight of the day. The air smells faintly of seaweed and of distant pine woods, an unusual pairing, yet here along Portugal's coast, the ocean and the forests are never far apart. The motif you carry with you is the sound of the waves, not just any waves, but these soft, rolling, familiar, patient. They will follow you through every step of this journey, reminding you that no matter where you go tonight, the ocean is at your side. As you walk along the sand, your feet sink just enough to feel the coolness beneath the day's warmth. The grains are fine pale gold in the fading light. A seabird crosses overhead, its wings outlined against the deepening lavender sky, and its call fades into the distance. You pause, letting the quiet widen around you. There's a path ahead winding gently along the cliffs. It promises both safety and mystery, as though it knows the way to a place you've never been, yet somehow already recognize. The sound of the waves keeps you company, their rhythm matching your steps. As the first stars appear, you feel a sense of arrival, not to an ending, but to the beginning of something that will carry you deeper into yourself. This coast, with its history of explorers and dreamers, has always been a threshold between known and unknown. Tonight, you too are standing at such a threshold. You hear the waves again, patient, steady, each one a reminder that you are supported, that you are safe. Their presence is your companion tonight, your recurring motif shaping the journey without ever pressing too hard. The air cools gently, brushing across your skin like a soft shawl. You take another slow breath, noticing how your chest rises and falls, how your body begins to align with the ocean's natural rhythm. In this harmony, you feel both grounded and free. Ahead, the path curves, inviting you to follow into the next chapter of the coast story. You don't yet know what you'll find. Perhaps a hidden cove, perhaps an old lighthouse, perhaps something far quieter, yet far more meaningful. But you trust that wherever it leads, the waves will carry you there. And so, with the last of the light lingering just long enough to guide your way, you take the first step forward, knowing that dusk has only just begun to reveal its gifts. The path bends, carrying you closer to the edge of the cliffs, and as you round the curve, the sea opens wide before you, an endless sweep of silver water touched by the fading light of dusk. The sky has deepened into shades of indigo and peach, soft strokes blending like a watercolor painting that refuses to dry. You pause, letting your gaze rest on the horizon where the last warmth of the sun lingers, as though it is reluctant to let go. The waves, the motif that follows you, are stronger here, their voices rising against the stone cliffs. Yet still they move with patience, never hurrying, never harsh. They break gently below, rolling and folding into themselves like slow breaths. You let their rhythm guide your own, inhaling as one wave gathers, exhaling as it dissolves into foam. The scent here is different, richer, mingling sea salt with the earthy fragrance of the cliffs themselves. You can almost taste it, like a hint of minerals carried in the air. It brings to mind the old stories of Portuguese sailors who once stood on cliffs much like these, staring out to the horizon, preparing for voyages that would carry them into the unknown. Perhaps they too listen to the ocean as you do now, letting its sounds settle into their bones. You draw your scarf closer around your shoulders, not because you are cold, but because the evening has a softness to it that makes you want to be held. The breeze brushes your cheek, and for a moment you imagine it as the hand of the ocean itself, reaching up to remind you that you are not alone here. You notice a bench along the cliff path. Weathered wood, its surface smoothed by countless visitors who have stopped to rest, to look, to listen. You sit, feeling the coolness of the wood beneath you. From here, the view is wide and unbroken, a canvas of sea and sky. As you sit, your body loosens a little more. The tension that may have lingered in your shoulders slips down your arms into your hands and is carried away by the wind. You let your jaw relax, your breath slow, your heart align with the gentle pulse of the waves below. A memory comes to you, not your own, but one the place seems to share. You can almost see a fisherman long ago mending his nets along this path. He hums quietly to himself, a tune carried by the breeze, steady as the waves. His lantern glows against the twilight, and though he works with his hands, his eyes often drift to the horizon, as though the sea were a companion he could not ignore. His hum fades, but you carry it with you, blending it into the rhythm of the water. The motif of the waves deepens, no longer just sound, but a memory, a comfort, a reminder that time itself flows as gently as the tide. A thought drifts in how familiar this coast feels, even if you have never been here before. It's the way some places seem to recognize you, to fold you into their rhythm. Perhaps it's the way the cliffs hold the sky, or the way the sea holds the stars before they rise. You are not a stranger here. You belong. You breathe in. The air cool and mineral rich. You breathe out, releasing even more of the day. With every breath you feel lighter, softer, more ready to be carried along by this night. The bench beneath you feels steady, grounding you, while the horizon stretches wide opening possibilities. You balance between earth and sky, comfort and mystery, belonging and wonder. This balance is soothing, like the pause between one wave and the next. In the distance, you notice the faint outline of a lighthouse, its white tower just visible against the fading sky. A single light flickers at its peak, a promise of guidance for those still out at sea. There is something reassuring in its presence, the way it quietly fulfills its purpose, steady, unfailing. You wonder if your path will lead you there, to the lighthouse itself, to the stories it has kept, to the light that never ceases to turn. For now, it waits on the horizon like a gentle star, and you trust that the journey will bring you closer when the time is right. The air grows cooler as twilight deepens. You pull your scarf again around you, and in doing so, you notice the fabric brushing against your neck, the warmth of its fibers, the contrast with the crisp air outside. You let yourself linger in this sensation, the simple pleasure of comfort in the midst of vastness. The waves below continue their rhythm, changing slightly with the tide. Each time they meet the rocks, they release a sigh that seems almost human. You lean into their sound, letting it carry you deeper, as though each wave were speaking directly to your body, telling it to rest, to soften, to trust. For a moment, you close your eyes. With eyes shut, the sound of the waves becomes your entire world. You are floating now, not on the water itself, but in the rhythm, as though time has paused, holding you in a cradle of sound. When you open your eyes again, the first stars have appeared. They are faint at first, just shy glimmers above the horizon. Yet their presence is enough to remind you that the night has only begun its story. The lighthouse still waits in the distance, and the path still calls you onward. You rise slowly from the bench, your body moving with ease, guided by the steady pull of the journey. You look once more at the horizon, carrying its calm inside you, and then you step forward, the path unfolding beneath your feet. The path narrows as it slips into a grove of pines, their trunks tall and steady, their crowns broad like green parasols. And the air changes in a way you feel first in your chest, cooler, resin-scented, threaded with the briny breath of the sea. The evening hush deepens beneath the branches, and yet the ocean keeps speaking, soft, tireless, its waves arriving and departing as if the shore were breathing in sleep. You step from sun-faded rock to sandy soil, and the ground grows springy underfoot. A cushion of needles, warm from the day, releasing a clean, comforting fragrance each time your heel presses down. You pause for a moment, letting your gaze travel through the columns of trees to the faint silver beyond, where the Atlantic still glimmers. And you breathe deliberately, slow, generous, easy. Inhale the cool shade and its secret sweetness. Exhale, and feel your shoulders lengthen, your jaw, unfasten your hands. Rest a little heavier at your sides. Somewhere between the rustle of pine and the pulse of tide, your breath finds a rhythm that is not effort but belonging. The motif returns, wave after wave, steady as a lullaby, no longer only a sound, but a gentle instruction your body understands without words. A narrow stone marker appears by the path, worn moss-kissed, tilted by years of salt air. Its face holds tiny blue tiles, the azulejos Portugal is famous for, arranged in a simple compass rose. The blues are softened by time, each square a faded petal of sky. You lean closer, tracing the design with your eyes, And you smile at the thought of so many travelers who have passed here at the edge of day, letting the sea keep time for their steps. The marker does not command. It reassures this way gently, and whenever you're ready, a breeze slips through the grove and sets the pines to murmuring, a low, even hush like a secret spoken kindly. With each stir of air, the resin lifts again, herbal and bright, with a ribbon of warmth underneath. You notice the way the smell plays at the edges of taste, as though you'd taken a sip from a cup brewed by the trees themselves. Somewhere nearby, a small bell rings once, twice, then quiet again. It might be from a bicycle passing along the cliff road, or a fisherman's buoy adjusting with the tide, a tiny human note answering the ocean's great song. Just ahead, the grove opens to a small wayside niche, set into the stone no higher than your shoulder. A smooth shelf holds a glass jar with a candle inside its flame, faint in the evening light, and behind it, a tile image of Nossa Senhora de Boa Viagem, Our Lady of Good Voyage. Her robe is the same sea blue as the tiles, her hands outstretched in welcome. Someone has tucked a sprig of rosemary beside the jar. You stand before this little shrine, so humble, so tender, and you can almost hear the stories it has gathered, quiet promises, names whispered on salt wind, the soft gratitude of safe returns. You let your fingertips rest lightly on the stone, cool, steady, and then you bring your hand back to your heart, noticing the warmth there, noticing how the steady ocean becomes in this moment a steady you. Two figures pass along the path, an elderly couple walking slowly. Their hands clasp their steps so in tune with one another, it is as if one body were moving. They nod to you and smile, the kind of effortless kindness that takes no effort at all. The woman carries a small basket lined with a cloth fresh bread wrapped for supper. The man carries nothing but his hat, though the way he holds it creases smooth by thumb tells you it has kept him company through long years of wind and sun. Boa tarde, he offers, and the words lift and settle like light foam on a shore. You answer softly, and their presence, brief as it is, leaves a warmth behind like a candle that continues to glow after you close your eyes. As you continue, the pines thin and the sea draws closer again. The sound of the waves opening wider, the salt air fuller on your tongue. You think of how many years these waters have nursed stories, fishermen learning the weather by the shape of clouds, children learning the names of winds, by the way laundry on a line begins to speak, sailors setting out while the cliffs kept faith with their families. The word saudade stirs, untranslatable and yet perfectly clear, an ache that is not sorrow but tender longing, a sweetness for what has been loved and is still near somehow. The waves make it simple. Arrive, depart, love, return. A rhythm you feel in the soft echo between your ribs. An American memory nudges gently into the evening, not to break the spell, but to widen it. You remember standing on a small town porch back home at dusk, screen door creaking. A rocking chair, keeping company with the cicadas' hands wrapped around a paper cup of coffee that smelled of a diner you'd stopped at along a quiet highway. That same piece is here. Only the porch is a line of whitewashed cottages with blue trim, and the rocking chair is a fisherman's stool left outside a door where a cat sleeps, and the coffee is the roasted warmth drifting from a tiny cafe tucked just off the path. The Atlantic has a way of knitting shores together, distant towns exchanging a wink across water, and the comfort you knew there. You know again, now made new by the scent of pine and salt. A small cafe reveals itself, hardly more than a window and a counter. Its sign hand-painted, its sill crowded with pots of thyme and trailing geraniums. A woman sets a tray by the window, 2 cups of Galeo milk warmed into the coffee until it looks like the color of toasted sand. And beside them, 2 pastéis de nata, their custard faces glistening with a shine of caramel. She catches your eye and smiles, and with a tilt of her head, she invites you closer. You order softly, and when the cup reaches your hands, the heat feels like a blessing. You listen to the ocean while the foam settles, and you take a slow sip, silky, gentle, rounded with milk, and the taste feels like evening agreeing with you. On the breeze, the pastry offers vanilla and citrus, and when you split it, the custard yields with a soft sigh, the crust shattering into delicate flakes that dissolve before you can think to count them. A boy, 8, perhaps 9, arrives with a pouch of shells he has gathered from the tide line. He pours them onto the counter with the solemnity of a jeweler presenting gems. The woman, his grandmother, you understand, without being told, chooses one, a small scallop with dusky stripes, and places it in the jar with the candle at the wayside niche, as she has done all his life. Para boa viagem, she says, to bless the journeys of anyone who passes. The boy nods satisfied and tucks another shell into his pocket. This one he keeps for himself. His micro-story is no more than a minute long, and yet it stretches farther than any map because the ocean carries it, because you will carry it now too. You rest your cup on the sill, and you let your body soften again. Neck lengthening, clavicles widening like quiet wings. Weight settling through your feet into the earth that smells of pine and salt and the last sun of the day. If there is anything left that tenses you, greet it kindly. You breathe toward it. You let the waves show it a way to loosen. In this soft attention, you notice something pleasant and almost unexpected, the faint honey thread of wildflower on the breeze. Somewhere beyond the grove, someone must have a small garden where evening blossoms open. The scent catches and releases with the wind as if exhaled by the sea. When you step away from the cafe, the sky has turned a deeper blue, and the first true stars are confident now, not only far off but poised near, as if the pines themselves had sprouted light among their needles. The lighthouse you glimpsed earlier is closer, its lanterna a slow, dependable blink, and you realize the path bends toward it whether you intend it or not, as if the night had decided to guide you there in its own timing. Between you and the beacon, the coast folds into a sheltered cove where the water gathers itself before it climbs the sand in shining veils. The sand is finer here, cool silk under your steps, and with each wave the beach inhales and exhales, smoothing whatever was written a moment before. A second micro-story rises, with the tide older than the boy and just as alive. At the far edge of the cove stands a low wall faced in tiles, a picture made of blue upon blue. It shows a small vessel, one mast, a triangle of sail leaving the bay under a crescent moon, while a figure on shore lifts a lamp. No names, no year, only the suggestion of a promise. You realize the lamp is not only for those departing, it is for those returning to say, keep watch, to say the door will be open, to say the soup will be warm. You look from the tile to the water and back again, and the waves whisper something like, yes. You stand at the lip of the cove and let the froth trace your ankles, cool quick, playful. The sea pebbles here are tiny and polished. They slip and sigh under the foam like soft applause. If you listen carefully, you can hear small burrows open and close as the water recedes, like the coast breathing through 1,000 tiny mouths. The sensation is intimate and soothing, this chorus of almost sounds, and it makes you want to be even stiller. As if your stillness were a courtesy, the ocean appreciates and returns. Another breath, slow, then slower, and you notice how the motif has changed again. The waves are not merely a lullaby now, they are a conversation that asks nothing of you. You are allowed to be quiet to arrive exactly as you are. The cove takes whatever the day made of you and smooths it as easily as it smooths footprints, leaving only a felt simplicity, salt night breath, warmth. Far along the headland, the lighthouse turns once more, a measured blink that seems to speak directly to your chest. It promises a farther view, perhaps, or a story the keeper might share if the evening is kind. The path continues rising, gently threading between thyme and low rock, the pine grove falling back into a shadowed hush. The sky, the sea, the land, three deep blues meeting at soft seams hold you like a quilt sewn by hands you trust. You take one last look at the cove, the candle's small flame at the niche, the tile boat edging toward the moon, the boy's pocket shell, and you feel an ease that needs no explanation. The night is making a place for you. The waves agree. The wind agrees. The pines agree. And somewhere ahead, the lighthouse keeps its patient circle, waiting as if it knows your name. You turn toward the gentle rise feet, light breath, steady, ready to follow the curve that leads to the beacon's door. The path begins to rise, each step lifting you gently from the soft sand of the cove to the firmer earth of the headland. The evening air is cooler here, tinged with salt and a faint mineral crispness that feels clean in your lungs. The sound of the waves, the motif that has followed you, changes in timbre as the shore grows more distant. It becomes rounder, slower, like a deep hum echoing through the cliffside. You notice the way it seems to answer your breath, as though the sea is keeping time with you. The climb is gradual and you take it slowly, pausing often to notice the details. To your left, the thyme and rosemary bushes release their fragrance into the night air, warm, earthy, sharp in places, yet soothing overall. You brush your fingers lightly across the tips of the plants, and the oils cling to your skin, leaving a subtle perfume that lingers as you walk. To your right, the ocean stretches vast and silver, reflecting the first constellations that have gathered above. You can see Orion's belt, crisp and steady, and just beyond the faint trail of the Milky Way beginning to appear. A memory rises here, not yours, but the land's. Long ago, before engines, before charts were precise, sailors would climb these same cliffs to light signal fires. The flames would speak across the water, guiding their loved ones home. The lighthouse you approach is a continuation of that tradition, steadier, now brighter, but born from the same devotion to keep the path open, to keep return possible. The path turns once more, and suddenly, the lighthouse stands before you, its white tower rising clean and tall against the indigo sky. Its walls catch the last flush of dusk glowing faintly pink before the color yields to night. At its crown, the lantern turns slow and patient, sending its beam across the sea. Each sweep feels like a blessing, an arc of reassurance that no matter how dark the horizon, a light is watching. You step onto the terrace that circles the base of the lighthouse. The stone beneath your feet is cool smooth by years of wind and salt spray. From here, the view is astonishing. The coastline unfurls in both directions, a ribbon of cliffs and beaches melting into haze. The waves below crash in measured rhythm, their sound carried upward like a steady choir. The motif has become more resonant now, not only a comfort, but a strength. The lighthouse keeper's door is painted blue, its handle worn smooth. A lantern hangs beside it, swaying faintly in the breeze. You imagine the keeper inside sipping strong coffee from a small porcelain cup, perhaps leafing through a book whose pages curl at the edges from salt air. In Portugal, there is a word for this kind of moment, aconchego. It means warmth, coziness, the sense of being tucked safely within. You feel that now even before stepping inside. You pause at the railing before the door. The metal is cool against your palms, and the sea breeze rises, lifting your hair, brushing your face. You take a mindful breath, deep, slow, letting the air fill every corner of your chest, then releasing it, feeling lighter, clearer, steadier. A small story lingers in the air, a local child who once left a seashell here at the base of the tower to thank the light for guiding her father home from the sea. Each night she returned to whisper a wish into the shell. When she grew older, she carried the shell with her on her first voyage across the Atlantic. It is said that if you find a shell on this terrace and listen carefully, you will hear not only the sea, but also her promise that the ocean will always bring you back to yourself. You lean against the railing, closing your eyes. The waves continue their lullaby. The beam of light circles again, sweeping calmly across the horizon. You let it move through you as well as though its turning steadies your inner compass. The world feels vast and safe, infinite yet welcoming. When you open your eyes, you notice a small bench tucked near the tower wall. You sit, letting your body rest fully into its embrace. The stone at your back is cool, the air fresh, the sounds unbroken. From here, the path onward is hidden, but you trust it is waiting just as the ocean has always waited. And with that thought, you settle deeper, knowing that the night is carrying you gently forward. The blue-painted door of the lighthouse opens with the faintest creak, and you step inside, leaving the open night for a space that feels hushed and warm. The air carries a mixture of scents, the tang of salt still clinging to the stone walls, the faint metallic whisper of old gears, and a softer note of lamp oil. A fragrance that speaks of endurance, of light kept alive through countless dusks and storms. The waves remain with you here too, their sound resonant through the stone foundation like a heartbeat echoing from below. The room is circular, its walls thick, its windows narrow slits that frame fragments of the sea. A low table holds a glass oil lamp, its flame steady and golden, painting the walls with soft shadows. You notice shelves crowded with nautical charts, some curling at the edges, their lines drawn in careful ink. An old brass compass rests open on a cloth, its needle quivering faintly, though there is no wind inside. The motif, the sound of the waves, threads itself through all of this, binding the stillness to the movement outside. The lighthouse keeper greets you not with words, but with a nod and a smile. His eyes are kind, weathered like driftwood, and in his presence there is no need to hurry, no need to speak. He gestures toward a chair by the lamp, and you sit. The chair is wooden polished by many years of use, and it cradles you in a way that feels like memory more than furniture. He sets a small cup before you, thick ceramic chipped slightly at the rim. Inside is a warm drink galao again, but richer this time, the coffee deepened by the hour of night. Its steam curls upward, carrying notes of roasted beans and milk sweetened just enough. You wrap your hands around the cup, feeling its heat soak into your palms, into your wrists. The taste when you sip is earthy, grounding the flavor of evening anchoring itself within you. On the wall above the table hangs a painting, faded but vivid in its own way. It shows a ship at sea, sails full against a sky heavy with clouds. But in the painting, the sea is calm, not threatening each wave, curved like a brushstroke of patience. You wonder if the artist painted not what was, but what was wished for. A sea that could be trusted, a sky that held its storms at bay. The keeper notices your gaze and simply nods, as though he too believes that art can soften reality into something kind. He takes a small object from a drawer and sets it on the table before you, a glass sphere no larger than an apple clouded slightly with age. He turns it gently, and inside you see a tiny carved boat suspended within. He tells you quietly, his voice low steady, that it is a reliquia, a relic passed down by his grandfather. When you look into it, he says, you remember that the sea, for all its vastness, can be held in your hand. And in that moment, you are never lost. You turn the glass sphere slowly, the little boat catching the lamplight. The motif of the waves rises again, this time inside you, rolling through your chest with a softness that feels like belonging. You realize the ocean does not only exist outside, it is also within an inner tide that can be trusted. The keeper rises, taking a lantern from its hook. He gestures toward the spiral staircase that climbs to the lantern room above. The steps are iron-curved, worn smooth by many boots, and they ring softly under your feet as you begin to climb. Each step feels like part of a ritual, a gentle ascent not just upward, but inward, as though the lighthouse is guiding you through your own layers of thought and breath. Halfway up, you pause at a narrow window. Through it, the night stretches infinite and calm, the stars bright, now scattered in shimmering detail across the sky. The beam from the lantern room above sweeps out, illuminating the water in arcs of silver, then recedes, letting darkness settle again. You watch the pattern repeat, light dark, and feel it mirrored in your breath. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. You continue upward, the air growing warmer, tinged with the scent of heated metal and glass. At the top, the lantern room opens around you. The great lens stands before you, a masterpiece of curved glass and brass frames. Its light is steady, clear, turning slowly on its axis with a quiet hum. You approach, placing a hand lightly on the brass railing. The heat of the lamp radiates gently, warming your skin. Looking out through the glass, the ocean stretches infinite calm and endless. The waves below shimmer as they catch the beam, each crest lit for a moment before folding back into shadow. The motif now feels luminous, not only sound but light, the waves themselves shining each one a note in a song written in brightness and dark. The keeper sets his lantern on the floor, its smaller flame bowing in respect to the greater one. He does not speak. He does not need to. The message of the lighthouse is clear: to guide, to reassure, to keep vigil until morning. And in that vigil, you feel something stirring inside you, a quiet reminder that you too can carry light, even if only for yourself. You stand there for a long while, letting the lamp turn, letting the waves breathe, letting the night hold you. Time is gentle here, circling as the lens circles, moving not toward an end but deeper into calm. When at last you step back, the keeper lifts his lantern and leads you down again, his pace slow, unhurried. At the bottom, he opens the door to the night. The air outside is cooler now, the stars brighter still. You thank him softly with words, or perhaps only with your eyes, and he nods once more, content. The path beyond the lighthouse glimmers faintly in starlight. You know it will carry you further toward places the night has yet to reveal. You step once more into the night, leaving the steady glow of the lighthouse behind, and the air greets you with its crisp embrace, touched by salt and the faintest sweetness of time drifting from the cliffs. The path ahead glimmers under starlight, silvering each stone as though the earth itself has remembered the day's sun and now releases it gently for your steps. The waves below rise and fall with a low hum, your motif, your constant companion, now softer, stretched into longer rhythms that echo the slow pulse of the stars. You pause a moment at the terrace rail, glancing back at the lighthouse. Its beam continues its patient sweep across the horizon, each turn a gesture of reassurance. The white tower seems smaller now that you are outside it again, and yet more powerful, like a friend waving farewell while promising to keep watch until your return. You draw in a deep breath, letting the cool air fill your chest, and as you exhale, your shoulders drop another inch, tension melting into the night. The path leads you gently downward, carved between the rocky cliffs. Here the scent changes. It is no longer just pine and salt, but something floral, delicate, almost shy. You lean closer to the edge and you see them, wildflowers clinging to the cracks in the stone, their petals pale and luminous in the starlight. Some are white as froth, others violet as dusk, their fragrance a subtle thread that laces through the air. You brush a fingertip across one blossom, and the softness lingers, a tender counterpoint to the rugged rock around it. As you walk, you recall a fragment of folklore stories the locals tell of the flowers of the sea. These blooms are said to grow only where the ocean has touched the land with kindness, where storms have spared the cliffs. They are considered signs of blessing, tokens of safe passage. Fishermen's families would pick a few before journeys, weaving them into wreaths, believing they carried the calm of the waves into the hearts of those who sailed away. You smile at the thought, sensing that these blossoms are watching over you as well, guiding your steps with their fragile light. The motif of the waves returns again, more layered now. Beneath the familiar rhythm of surf against stone, you catch finer details, the fizz of foam against pebbles, the quiet swirl of tide through hidden caves. It is as if the sea is leaning closer, revealing subtler voices of its song. You slow your walk, listening, breathing, allowing the music to flow through you. Each sound seems to brush a corner of your mind, sweeping it clean, leaving behind only ease. Ahead, the path widens into a small lookout carved naturally into the cliffside. A low wall of stone marks its edge, and you lean upon it, gazing out at the vast Atlantic spread before you. The stars above are countless now, a tapestry of light woven into infinite blue-black silk. Their reflection shimmers faintly across the waves, so that sea and sky seem joined in a single expanse. You breathe deeply, and for a moment, you cannot tell if you are standing on the earth or floating among constellations. A story seems to rise from the water itself. Sailors of centuries past would chart their course by these very stars, trusting them to guide across unknown seas. In Portugal, they called the North Star the Estrela do Norte, a steadfast companion in nights that stretched unbroken. You imagine those night sails taut with Windex, creaking men gazing upward in silence, placing their faith in a single point of light. Tonight you too are guided not across water, but deeper into calm, your own journey shaped by trust. From somewhere farther down the path comes the faint sound of a guitar, a few quiet notes strummed lazily, drifting upward like a fragrance of sound. The melody is gentle, almost like Fado, the soulful music of Portugal, but slower, softer, meant not to stir sorrow, but to cradle it. You follow the sound, and soon you see the source. A small fire flickering near a cluster of stones where two figures sit. One strums, the other listens, their faces turned toward the stars rather than each other. You do not interrupt. You simply pause, letting the music wash over you, blending with the waves, another voice in the night's choir. A memory surfaces unbidden of sitting on a porch back home in the US, listening to someone play a harmonica at dusk. The air had smelled of cut grass and warm earth, and the sound had been both lonely and comforting. That same feeling finds you now, but carried on sea wind, shaped into chords of guitar. The connection stretches across oceans, reminding you that comfort has many languages, all of them understood by the heart. The firelight flickers across the cliff walls, casting long shadows that seem to sway like dancers. You step quietly onward, carrying the warmth of the moment with you. As the guitar fades behind, the motif of the waves grows clearer again, filling the silence. You notice how it has shifted once more, now a lullaby not only for you, but for the whole coast, as though the land itself is being soothed into rest. The path curves again, and the wildflowers thin until only a few remain glowing faintly at your feet. You stoop to gather one, a small violet blossom, and tuck it into your pocket. Its scent is light but present, and you sense it will accompany you farther than the cliffs themselves. It is your reminder that beauty lingers even in places where rock and salt seem to rule. You continue forward, the stars guiding above the waves, guiding below the flower, guiding within. The air grows cooler still, and yet you feel only warmth carried by the rhythm of the night. The lighthouse beam sweeps faintly behind you, but you no longer need to look back. The journey itself has become your light. The path descends gently from the cliffs, winding toward the quiet glow of a village nestled against the sea. At first, you see only pinpricks of light lanterns swaying in doorways, candles glowing in windows. But as you draw nearer, the shapes of whitewashed cottages take form, their walls softened by shadow and their roofs touched faintly by starlight. The motif of the waves accompanies you still, a deepening lull that merges seamlessly with the rhythms of village life, as if every home has learned to breathe with the tide. You step onto cobblestones that gleam faintly with the evening's dew. The stones are uneven but comforting beneath your feet, grounding you with each step. The air carries layers of scent salt from the harbor smoke, from cooking fires, the faint sweetness of figs drying on wooden racks. Somewhere bread is baking and its warmth drifts into the night, mingling with the fragrance of rosemary and olive oil. You inhale slowly, exhale softly, and feel as though the village is welcoming you not as a guest, but as someone returning home. The first figure you encounter is a fisherman, seated on a low stool outside his door. He is mending a net by lantern light, his hands moving with calm precision, weaving rope in and out as though following a song only he can hear. He looks up and nods, the kind of nod that carries no demand, just quiet acknowledgement. The lantern flame trembles in the breeze, and for a moment it looks as though the light itself has been stitched into the fibers of the net. You think of how the waves too weave their patterns endlessly along the shore, and the motif deepens once again, not only sound but texture, pattern continuity. A cat slips past its fur, brushing your ankle, its purr almost a continuation of the sea's hum. It disappears into a doorway, leaving only the echo of its comfort behind. You smile, and your steps carry you onward into the heart of the village. At the small square, you find a fountain stone, worn smooth by time water, glinting silver beneath the moon. Around its rim, pots of geraniums lean outward, their petals bright even in the dim light. The water's sound is delicate, a high counterpoint to the deep waves beyond. You sit at the fountain's edge for a moment, letting its cool mist brush your face, your hands, your breath. The motif of the waves merges with this trickle of water, and together they form a duet that settles softly inside you. A woman passes carrying a basket lined with cloth. She pauses to adjust it, and you catch the aroma of still warm bread, its crust crackling faintly. She notices your glance and offers a smile that seems to contain both welcome and understanding. She says nothing, but as she disappears down a narrow lane, you feel the presence of her kindness lingering in the air like the afterglow of a candle flame. From a nearby tavern, you hear a murmur of voices, low, contented. A guitar strums inside, but this time the sound is woven with laughter, with the soft thud of mugs set upon wood. You peer through the open doorway and see families gathered around long tables, their faces lit by the glow of lanterns. Children rest drowsily on their mothers' laps, half asleep, even as the music continues. The smell of grilled sardines drifts out, salty, smoky, rich. For a moment, you imagine stepping inside, but you remain at the doorway, content to absorb the warmth of the scene without intruding. It is enough to witness enough to let it become part of your journey. You move on, the streets narrowing again, the cottages huddled close, their walls washed pale by moonlight. Clotheslines stretch between windows, and you notice the way the fabrics sway in the night air like flags of belonging. A pair of shoes sits outside a door, worn but polished as though waiting patiently for morning. These small details wrap around you like a blanket, the ordinary transformed into comfort by the quiet of night. A micro story greets you at the harbor, a boy sitting cross-legged on the dock, dangling a line into the still water. His eyes are heavy with sleep, his head nodding, yet his hand never lets go of the line. Beside him sits an older man, perhaps his grandfather, watching with the patience of years. He lifts a thermos and pours tea into two enamel cups, the steam rising, catching the lantern light. He offers one to the boy, who sips, blinking awake just enough to smile. The waves lap gently against the dock's wooden beams, and the sound completes their quiet companionship. You walk past softly, carrying their peace with you. The motif of the waves has become almost indistinguishable from village life now. It is in the nets drying along the shore, in the rocking of small boats, more gently against the pier, in the cadence of voices that drift from doorways. The sea is not separate here, it is woven into every gesture, every breath. And as you listen, you realize the waves are weaving you in as well, making you part of their rhythm, part of their belonging. You reach the edge of the harbor where lanterns line the water's edge. Their reflections tremble across the dark surface, like stars that have come down to rest upon the sea. The smell of tar and rope mingles with the night breeze, and you place a hand on one of the mooring posts, feeling its roughness, its solidity. It grounds you steady as the earth itself. The sky above has deepened into velvet, each star sharper now, the Milky Way stretching like a silver road across the heavens. The lighthouse beam is faint in the distance, but its circle still turns steady, unhurried. You feel both connected and free-rooted in the quiet belonging of this village, yet open to the infinite horizon that lies beyond. You breathe again, in through the nose slow and cool, out through the mouth warm and releasing. The night accepts your breath as if it were its own. From the far side of the harbor, another path begins, stone steps leading upward, away from the village, back toward the wild cliffs. You know this will be your way forward, carrying with you the warmth of the village, the softness of the waves, the comfort of belonging. The stone steps rise from the harbor, carrying you away from the glow of lanterns and into the deeper quiet of the cliffs. Each step feels unhurried, steady, as though the night itself is guiding your pace. The air is cooler here, brushed with salt and touched by the faint sweetness of jasmine that grows along the walls. You pause halfway, looking back. The village now rests like a cluster of stars at the water's edge, its light shimmering gently in harmony with the sea. The motif of the waves accompanies you still, softer now, almost reverent, as though aware of the wonder waiting ahead. As you climb, the sky unfolds above you in its full glory. The Milky Way arches overhead, clear and luminous, every star sharp against the velvet dark. You feel its vastness pressing gently upon you, not heavy, but expansive, like the opening of wings. The beam of the lighthouse sweeps once more across the horizon, faint but faithful, a reminder of where you have come from, even as you move forward. At the top of the steps, the path narrows into a hidden overlook, a ledge carved naturally into the cliff. You step onto it carefully, and suddenly the sea reveals something extraordinary. Below, the waves shimmer with a light that is not from the stars above, but from within themselves. Bioluminescence, tiny organisms stirred by the tide, spark and glow as each wave curls and collapses. The water glitters like liquid constellations, every crest a brief galaxy dissolving into foam. You catch your breath. The sight feels like a gift offered directly to you. The motif deepens once again, no longer just sound, but light rhythm and miracle together. Each wave is a reminder that beauty can rise from the unseen, that the world holds secret wonders that appear only when night is at its quietest. You kneel at the overlook, leaning slightly forward, your hands resting on the cool stone. The sea breathes below, glowing with each motion. For a moment, you close your eyes. Even in the darkness behind your lids, you can still feel the glow, the rhythm of light echoing within you. You take a slow breath in and release. And it is as though you too are glowing softly, carrying the sea's secret inside your chest. A micro story drifts into your awareness. Centuries ago, sailors believed these glowing waters were spirits of the sea, guiding them safely to shore. Some called them mares de estrellas, tides of stars. Others whispered that they were the lanterns of those lost at sea, returning in kindness to light the way for those still alive. You imagine those sailors, weary and uncertain, suddenly uplifted by this unexpected brilliance. The same wonder you feel now. They must have felt two standing at the threshold of mystery and comfort. The wind rises gently, carrying the scent of salt deeper into your lungs. It is cool, crisp, yet it warms you somehow, as if the night has drawn closer to hold you. You wrap your arms lightly around yourself, noticing the balance between chill air and inner warmth. Your body feels soft, settled, almost translucent, as though you too are made of starlight and water. For a moment, everything else fades. No footsteps, no voices, no thoughts of time. Only the sea glowing in rhythm, the stars above echoing its brilliance, and your breath steady between them. You realize this is the heart of the night, the climax of wonder you have been walking toward. The motif has become complete here: waves that sing, waves that shine, waves that breathe with you. You allow yourself a mindful pause. Inhale deeply through your nose, feeling the coolness spread down your chest. Exhale slowly through parted lips, letting the breath leave like a sigh of gratitude. Again, inhale and exhale until your whole body feels attuned to the slow pulse of the glowing sea. In this moment, you sense something unexpected, yet profoundly soothing: belonging, not only to place, but to time itself. The stars above were here long before you. The sea has breathed this rhythm for ages, and now you are part of its story, woven in, no different from the tide or the glow. You belong completely without effort. As the glow flickers and fades with each passing wave, you feel that the sea is not simply showing you its secret, it is offering you a mirror. It tells you quietly, even when unseen, even when the surface is still, there is light within you waiting to rise. The bioluminescence continues to shimmer, patient, infinite. You stay at the overlook, watching wave after wave reveal its glow. Each crest a reminder, each fall a gentle promise. You know you could remain here forever, and time itself would not mind. Yet the night still has more to share. Ahead, the path continues along the cliffs, faint but clear. You rise slowly, your body, light, your heart carrying the glow as if it were a lantern. You take one last look at the sea's secret brilliance and step forward, ready to see what wonder awaits next. The path turns gently inland, drawing you away from the cliffs and the glow of the bioluminescent waves. Yet even as the sea disappears from sight, its rhythm follows your motif, steady, faithful, humming softly in the distance like a memory that has settled deep in your bones. Each step feels quieter now, as though the earth itself wishes to preserve the reverence of what you've just witnessed. The air changes. It becomes warmer, infused with the dry fragrance of earth and herbs. Soon you find yourself walking among olive groves, rows of ancient trees, their trunks twisted and silvered with age, their leaves glinting faintly in starlight like small coins. The branches sway with the lightest breeze, producing a hushed rustle that seems to echo the whisper of waves. You pause, resting your hand on the bark of one tree. Its surface is rough-grooved with the lines of centuries. The tree stands unmoving yet alive with quiet strength. You draw a breath, and the scent of olive leaves fills you with calm, earthy, and grounding. Here the motif deepens again. The waves are no longer heard directly, but their rhythm carries through the grove, woven into the rustle of leaves, the soft creak of wood. You realize the ocean has followed you inland, not with sound alone, but with presence reminding you that it is always near. You pass a small stone wall, its surface lined with terracotta jars used to store olive oil. One jar is open and the faint aroma drifts into the night, fruity rich with a touch of pepper. It reminds you of kitchens, lit by lanterns of bread dipped into golden oil, of hands breaking loaves together. A memory stirs of an American table, perhaps. Thanksgiving, perhaps a summer picnic where olive oil and bread were shared alongside laughter. The comfort of food, simple and honest ties across oceans. You feel the warmth of those gatherings echoing here beneath the starlit trees. In the grove, a figure moves slowly, an old farmer with a lantern. The light swings gently as he checks the baskets left under the trees filled with olives gathered earlier in the day. He hums a tune under his breath, low and steady, carrying the rhythm of work done not in haste, but in harmony with the land. When he sees you, he lifts the lantern slightly, its glow softening his lined face. He offers a nod, then gestures toward a bench of stone beneath one of the largest trees. You sit the bench cool, the air fragrant, the moment offered freely. He continues on, leaving you with the lantern's glow and the gentle rustle of leaves. You rest there, letting your body sink into the stillness. Your hands rest easily in your lap, your breath falling naturally into the rhythm of the night. You close your eyes for a moment, and though you no longer hear the sea directly, you feel it in your chest, steady, endless kind. The motif has shifted inward, becoming the pulse of your own body, a reminder that the ocean does not need to be seen to be present. A micro-story lingers in the grove. It is said that olive trees here were planted centuries ago by monks who walked these cliffs seeking solitude. They believed the trees held prayers within their roots, each harvest a blessing passed down through generations. You look around at the grove now, and you can believe it, each tree like a silent guardian holding something sacred in its gnarled embrace. Above, the stars are brighter than ever, unbroken by any light but the lantern beside you. You tilt your head back, tracing familiar constellations. The silence here is deep but never empty. It is filled with rustle, with breath, with the faint echo of waves. You let that fullness wrap around you, easing your mind into a softer state. In this stillness, you feel gratitude rise. Gratitude for the night, for the sea, for the trees, for the simple act of being here, breathing in harmony with the world. Gratitude itself becomes a kind of light, soft, unseen, but steady, like the bioluminescence you carried from the shore. After some time, you rise again, carrying the calm of the grove with you. You touch the bark of one more tree as you pass, pressing your palm gently against its strength. You feel the roughness, the life, the years it has held. And in that touch, you sense again the continuity of all things: the sea, the stars, the trees, and you. The path begins to slope downward once more, leading back toward the sound of waves. You catch it faintly, now returning to your ears like an old friend waiting patiently. The sea is calling you closer again, and you follow lantern light ahead, starlight above the rhythm of waves within. The path slopes gently back toward the sea, the sound of the waves returning to you with greater clarity, your motif finding its voice once more. What was faint and internal in the olive grove now blossoms into fullness again, the rolling breath of the Atlantic, deep and endless, echoing against the cliffs. Each step downward feels like a reunion, a homecoming. The air shifts cooler, saltier, laced with the faint metallic tang of water meeting rock. You pause and breathe deeply, letting it expand through your chest. The warmth of the olive grove still lingers within you, and now the freshness of the sea layers over it like cool linen spread across a bed. Inhale, exhale, and you feel both grounded and lifted, steadied and lightened at once. The path bends between two tall rocks and opens suddenly into a hidden cove. It is smaller than the harbor you visited earlier, more secret, more sheltered. The cliffs curve inward, creating an embrace of stone that holds the sea in quiet arms. The waves that enter here are gentler, softened by the shape of the cove. They slip across the sand with a sigh and retreat with a whisper, leaving behind pools of still water that catch the starlight. You step down onto the sand. It is fine, pale cool beneath your feet, with a faint crunch of shells scattered across its surface. The pools gleam like mirrors, reflecting the constellations above so clearly that for a moment you feel suspended between two skies, one overhead, one beneath your feet. You crouch at the edge of a pool, watching the stars ripple faintly as a breeze brushes the water. It is as though the sky itself has come down to meet you here. The motif of the waves deepens again. In the cove, they are not only a sound, but a painter's brush. Each retreat leaves delicate patterns on the sand arcs and whirls that dissolve before your eyes. You realize that the sea is writing a story in every moment, a story never meant to last, but to soothe, to remind you of impermanence, made gentle. A micro-story drifts into the night. The locals say that once long ago, lovers would meet in this very cove. They would trace their initials in the sand and watch as the waves erase them, not with sorrow, but with the promise that love, like the tide, returns in new forms again and again. You look at the sand now and see faint traces of patterns, perhaps from children's games, perhaps from the hands of someone who lingered here earlier in the day. Already the waves are carrying them away, smoothing everything into calm. And somehow that feels like a kindness. You sit on a smooth rock at the cove's edge. The stone is cool, its surface rounded by centuries of water and wind. You place your palms against it, feeling the solidity beneath the softness of the night. Above the stars continue their quiet burn, infinite and patient. Their reflections in the pools below shimmer sometimes clearer than the sky itself. For a moment you close your eyes, listening only to the waves. Then you open them again and feel as though you are looking into eternity reflected twice, once above, once below. The air carries a new note now, the faint sweetness of sea lavender blooming among the rocks. Its fragrance is delicate floral, with a touch of salt, as though the sea itself had decided to grow flowers. You lean closer to breathe it in, and the scent lingers in your nose and your throat, a gentle perfume that mingles with the memory of olive leaves and wild thyme. You take another mindful breath, slower this time. Inhale through your nose, cool air threading through you. Hold for a moment, then exhale through your mouth, warm and steady, like the tide leaving shore. With each breath, you feel yourself settling deeper, more completely, into this place, into this night. A flicker of movement catches your eye. Small crabs scuttling at the edge of the pools, their shells glinting faintly. They move with a rhythm, not unlike the waves darting forward, retreating back. You smile at their persistence, their quiet dance. Life continues, even in the stillest hours, woven seamlessly into the fabric of the sea. Another micro story surfaces. Fishermen's children once believed the crabs carried messages from the sea. If you whispered a wish and watched the crabs move away, it was said the tide would carry your words into the ocean's heart. You watch them now, wondering what wishes have been sent tonight, what dreams the sea is holding. The motif of the waves swells again, filling the cove. Their sound has become fuller, richer, layered with all that you have seen: the lighthouse beam, the glowing waves, the olive groves rustle, the village's warmth. Each memory seems folded into their rhythm, as though the ocean has gathered everything into a single song and is offering it back to you. You lean back on the rock, tilting your face upward. The stars wheel slowly overhead, their constellations familiar yet infinite. The Milky Way glows brighter now, mirrored in the pools at your feet, so that you feel suspended between sky and sea. You close your eyes again and the sensation lingers. You are floating, held weightless, yet secure. You know the night still holds more wonders. But in this cove, you feel the quiet heart of the journey, the sea and sky united, reflected in one another, offering you a vision of peace that is both vast and intimate. When at last you rise, you take one final look at the mirrored pools. The stars ripple once more, and you carry their shimmer with you, tucked gently within. The path awaits again, curving upward out of the cove, promising new discoveries. The path leaves the cove, winding upward through a cleft in the rock, until it opens onto a stretch of sand dunes. Here the landscape softens. No cliffs rising sharp above the sea, no stone pressing close around you. Instead, gentle mounds of sand roll like frozen waves, their curves traced by the moonlight. Each dune seems to breathe in its own rhythm, a quiet echo of the ocean beyond. The motif of the waves follows here too, but hushed softer, more distant, as though the sea has lowered its voice to whisper. You step onto the sand. It yields beneath your feet, fine and cool, shifting with every step. Each movement is slow, grounding, almost meditative. You pause to watch how the wind has shaped the dunes, rippling patterns, delicate ridges that catch the silver light. They look like the sea itself, stilled and transformed, a mirror of water made solid. The ocean is here, even in the sand, reminding you that its reach is endless. The air carries a different fragrance, now dry, warm, touched with the faint sweetness of night-blooming flowers that hide in the grasses scattered across the dunes. You kneel and brush your fingers lightly over the thin blades. They release a subtle aroma, earthy and floral, at once carried away by the breeze before it can linger too long. The night is gentle, every detail placed here not to overwhelm, but to soothe. You climb one of the dunes slowly, your breath finding an easy rhythm with each step. At the top, the world opens wide once more. To your left, the sea glimmers vast and steady, its horizon a seamless thread of silver. To your right, the land stretches dark and quiet, dotted with the faint shapes of trees. Above, the stars burn brighter than ever, and the moon hangs low, casting a calm glow across everything. For a moment, you stand still, letting the immensity settle within you. The motif of the waves changes again, no longer just sound, but presence. You realize the ocean doesn't need to be loud here. Its rhythm is carried in the wind, in the curves of the dunes, in the steady rise and fall of your chest. The sea has become a part of you now, inseparable. A micro-story surfaces born from the sand itself. Local folklore tells of pilgrims who once crossed these dunes at night to reach a chapel farther inland. They said the sand hummed beneath their feet, guiding them toward safety. Some claim the sound was the ocean's lullaby carried through the earth, a reminder that even away from the shore, the sea watched over them. You pause and listen now, and though the dunes are silent, you feel that hum within yourself, steady and kind. As you descend, you notice the small prints of creatures that pass before you. Tiny birds, perhaps, or foxes, padding softly in the dark. Their paths weave across the sand like threads vanishing over the crest of the next dune. You follow for a while, your own footprints joining theirs, knowing they too will fade by morning, smoothed away by wind and tide. There is comfort in that impermanence, in knowing the earth renews itself each night, leaving room for new journeys, new stories. The dunes lead you to a hollow sheltered from the wind. Here a small fire has been built, its glow flickering low. Beside it sits a woman wrapped in a shawl, her face turned toward the stars. She hums softly, not a song you recognize, but one that feels older than memory, threaded with the rhythm of the sea. When she notices you, she lifts her hand in greeting and gestures for you to sit. You join her, the sand soft beneath you, the fire's warmth brushing your skin. She offers you a cup warm milk infused with honey and a hint of cinnamon. The taste is simple, soothing, familiar in a way that transcends place. You sip slowly, and the warmth spreads through your chest, anchoring you. The waves are faint here, but her humming carries their rhythm. You close your eyes and listen, letting the melody merge with the hush of the dunes, the crackle of the fire, the beat of your own heart. When you open your eyes again, she is still gazing at the stars. She smiles softly, as though she knows the night has already given you what you came for. You thank her with a nod, and she returns to her humming, her presence both grounding and ephemeral, like the fire's glow. The motif of the waves lingers around you, not as sound this time, but as stillness itself. You realize the ocean doesn't need to remind you of its presence anymore. It has already become part of your being, woven into your breath, your heart, your thoughts. The sea is within you, calm and infinite. You rise quietly, leaving the fire behind the dunes, stretching once more under the stars. The path continues faint but sure, leading toward the horizon where land and sea meet again. You walk slowly, feeling lighter than before, as though the sand has absorbed the last remnants of the day's weight. Ahead, you see a glimmer, a reflection of moonlight on water. The dunes are giving way once more to the open beach, where the waves wait patiently for your return. The dunes fall away beneath your steps, and soon you stand at the edge of another wide beach. Here the sand stretches in a broad silver plain, smoothed by the tide and glowing faintly in the moonlight. The air is cooler again, the breeze lifting from the sea and brushing against your face like a gentle hand. You pause, listening. The waves are clearer here, your motif returning in full voice. They roll in and out with steady patience, a rhythm that feels as though it has been waiting just for you. You step onto the sand and it receives you softly, each footprint shining for a moment before the tide reaches forward to blur its edges. The water is calm tonight, each wave arriving like a sigh sliding up the shore, then retreating with a whisper. You follow their motion with your breath. Inhale as the wave gathers, exhale as it falls away. The ocean is teaching you to breathe with it, to trust its rhythm as your own. Above the moon hangs low its light, stretched across the water in a shining path. It looks as though a road has been laid just for you, one that begins at your feet and extends endlessly across the Atlantic. You take a step closer, the tide brushing gently over your ankles, cool and refreshing. For a moment, you close your eyes. The sound, the sensation, the smell of salt all merge together, and you feel as though you are dissolving into the sea itself. The motif transforms again here. It is no longer just sound nor just presence, it is union. You and the waves are inseparable, your breath and their rhythm one and the same. Each rise of the tide lifts something within you. Each fall carries something away. You feel lighter, clearer, as though the ocean has reached inside and untangled the last knots of the day. A micro story comes to you through the sound of the tide. Long ago, the people of this coast believed the moon and the sea were lovers forever reaching for each other, forever apart, yet joined through light and tide. They said that on nights like this, when the moon's reflection stretched across the water, you could walk that shining road into their embrace. The path was not meant to be finished. It was meant to remind you that love in all its forms is endless, patient, and vast. You watch the moon's reflection trembling on the water now, and the story feels alive, woven into the air you breathe. You walk slowly along the shoreline. Each step sinks into the wet sand. Each wave greets your ankles, cooling, cleansing. You notice the faint glow of bioluminescence, still lingering in the foam, sparking here and there, like stars hidden in the sea. The stars above and the stars below blur together until the line between sky and water feels less like a boundary and more like a mirror. You are walking between two infinities, your own presence, the bridge between them. A moment arrives unexpected yet deeply familiar. You stop standing still as a wave slides around your feet. You tilt your head back, gazing at the stars, then lower your eyes to see them reflected in the water at your feet. For a heartbeat, you feel yourself dissolve completely, no separation between you and the sea, no distance between you and the sky. You are both small and infinite, a single breath carried by a universe of waves. Gratitude swells in your chest. Not the hurried gratitude of obligation, but the slow, quiet gratitude that asks for nothing and gives everything. You are thankful for the sea, for the stars, for the night, for the breath that carries you through. The sensation is so full, so complete, that it feels like a tide within you, rising, cresting, and gently falling back into stillness. You kneel at the shoreline, letting your fingers brush the water. It is cool but not cold, like silk drawn across your skin. The foam curls around your hand before slipping away. You bring your fingers to your lips, tasting the salt, letting the sea become part of you in yet another way. The flavor is sharp, bracing, ancient. It ties you to the countless lives that have stood here before, sailors, pilgrims, lovers, all tasting the same sea, all joined in the same rhythm. The motif of the waves carries everything: now sound, presence, light, memory, union. It is the lullaby of the world itself, and you feel it holding you, rocking you gently toward rest. You remain there for a long time, simply breathing, listening, being. The night does not hurry you. The stars remain steady. The moon keeps its path. The waves continue their song. You are part of it all, woven seamlessly into the fabric of the night. When at last you rise, you feel different, not changed in a way that startles, but in a way that comforts. Softer, steadier, as though the sea has taken its place inside you, and you have taken your place inside the sea. Ahead, the shoreline curves gently, leading to a grove of low trees, where lanterns glimmer faintly between the branches. The path continues, calling you forward, inviting you deeper into calm. The shoreline bends gently, leading you toward the grove where lanterns glow softly between the trees. As you draw closer, the air shifts again, carrying a fragrance both sweet and fresh, the blossoms of citrus trees opening to the night. Their perfume lingers in the cool breeze, mingling with the salt of the sea, creating a harmony of scent that soothes you with each breath. You step off the sand and onto a path that weaves beneath the branches, the ground cushioned by fallen petals and grass damp with evening dew. The motif of the waves follows you here, but now it is more distant, softened, as though the sea itself is stepping back to give you room to rest. It becomes a cradle, steady, muted, rocking gently at the edges of your awareness. You feel the security of knowing it is still there, faithful and unbroken, while your senses focus on the grove around you. Lanterns hang from the branches at intervals, their warm golden glow illuminating the blossoms above. Each flame trembles slightly in the breeze, casting moving patterns of light across the leaves. You pause beneath one lantern and look up. The branches arch overhead, forming a canopy that feels like a shelter, a quiet chamber made of living wood and light. You take a slow breath, inhaling the sweet citrus scent, exhaling into the hush of the grove. As you walk deeper, the sound of small life surrounds you, the chirp of crickets in the grass, the flutter of a moth's wings brushing past the lantern's glow, the distant call of an owl. Each sound is soft, unhurried, blending with the muffled rhythm of the sea. Together, They create a symphony of stillness, a lullaby written by the night itself. At the center of the grove, you find a stone bench smoothed by years of use. You sit, the coolness of the stone steadying you, the lantern light warm against your face. The branches above sway gently, and a few petals drift down, landing on your lap, on your shoulder, on the bench beside you. Their softness feels like the night placing a blanket over you, tucking you in. A microstory lingers here, carried in whispers of local lore. It is said that travelers who rested in this grove long ago would wake to find their burdens lighter, their worries left behind among the blossoms. Some believe the trees listened through the night, drawing away whatever weighed heavy on the heart. You glance up at the branches now and you believe it could be true. Their steady presence feels like kindness, wordless but undeniable. You let your body soften into the bench. Your hands rest loosely in your lap. Your shoulders release the last of their tension. Your breath slows into an easy rhythm. The citrus scent feels cleansing, almost luminous, as though each inhale carries light into your chest. You exhale and you sense the night accepting whatever you release, holding it gently without question. The motif of the waves hums softly in the background, not as a call, but as reassurance. You realize the sea does not need to be near in sound or sight. It has already become part of you. Its rhythm is your rhythm, its calm your calm. The waves continue to breathe, and so do you, together endlessly. A memory flickers sitting on a porch swing in a small American town, a glass of lemonade sweating gently in your hand on a summer night. The scent of citrus drifting from a nearby tree, the sound of crickets rising in chorus. That same peace finds you now, translated into this Portuguese grove. Two places, oceans apart, yet joined by scent, by sound, by the universal language of night's comfort. The lantern beside you flickers its flame, lowering slightly, and you realize how late the night has become. The stars above are steady, the moon higher now, its silver glow filtering through the branches. Time feels unimportant here, dissolved into the rhythm of breath, of waves, of petals drifting silently to earth. You close your eyes for a moment, letting the grove hold you. You hear the crickets, the faint waves, the rustle of branches. You smell the blossoms sweet and clean. You feel the coolness of the bench, the softness of petals against your skin. And you know that everything is as it should be, perfectly balanced, perfectly calm. When you open your eyes again, you notice a narrow path leading onward, lit by two lanterns placed close together as if marking a passage. The grove seems to be guiding you gently onward, promising that the journey continues, carrying you deeper into rest. You rise slowly, feeling lighter, as though the trees have taken something from you, something you no longer needed to carry. You thank them in silence, and the breeze rustles the branches as if in reply. The path narrows again, leading out of the grove and toward the sound of waves returning nearer, now steady and sure. You follow lantern light at your back. Moonlight ahead, each step softer than the last. The path leaves the grove and opens once more onto the wide expanse of shore. Here, the sea greets you again, vast and shining, its voice fuller now, though softened by distance and night. The motif of the waves returns in gentle strength, no longer hidden, no longer hushed, but flowing with calm assurance. Their rhythm feels like a cradle rocking you, deeper and deeper each motion, dissolving the day further into memory. You step onto the sand. It is cool beneath your feet, damp, where the tide has reached dry and powdery farther inland. The beach stretches long in both directions, silver under moonlight, endless yet intimate. You take a slow breath, inhaling the salt and freshness of the sea, exhaling into the vast openness. The air fills you, clears you, steadies you. The waves slide in their foam, curling at your ankles, then recede with a sigh. You watch the patterns they leave, delicate arcs that vanish almost before you can admire them. The sea writes and rewrites its language ceaselessly, never clinging, always releasing. You let that lesson sink into you, to let go gently, to move on with ease. You walk slowly along the shoreline, each step accompanied by the steady hush of water. The night sky above is alive with stars, their reflections quivering across the waves. The moon's light stretches long and unbroken across the water, as though it were a path meant just for you. You pause and gaze at it, and the motif of the waves deepens into something tender, something more than sound. It becomes comfort itself, the reassurance that you are held, guided, accompanied. A micro story rises from the shore. The elders of this coast once told their children that each wave carried a blessing. Some were blessings of courage, some of love, some of rest. If you stood long enough by the sea, they said one wave would deliver exactly the blessing you needed. You smile at the thought, feeling the foam touch your ankles again, cool and soft, and you wonder what blessing has just been carried to you in this moment. You sit upon the sand close to where the tide reaches and lean back on your hands. The grains are fine, slipping easily between your fingers. The earth feels steady, the sky infinite, the sea alive and unbroken. You tilt your head back and close your eyes for a moment, letting the sounds fill you. The waves, the whisper of wind, the faint cry of a seabird turning in the distance. Each sound eases you further inward towards stillness. The motif of the waves grows into your very breath again. Inhale with the swell of water, exhale with its release. The rhythm is effortless, timeless, carrying you gently into deeper calm. As you rest, another memory surfaces, this one softer, perhaps from your own life. Sitting on a porch swing in a quiet American neighborhood, hearing the far-off hum of summer insects, the coolness of evening after a long day. The comfort you felt there is the same comfort you feel now, translated into salt air and starlight. Two shores, two moments, joined by the same tenderness of night. The sand beneath you cools your palms while the breeze warms your face. You notice the contrast, the balance, the way opposites meet without conflict. Night and day, sky and sea, cool and warm, near and far, all joined in this place, this hour. You let that harmony move through you, smoothing the edges of thought, softening every corner of your being. The waves continue their patient song, and you realize you could sit here forever, listening, breathing, being. But the shoreline curves ahead, promising more, something waiting just beyond, another gift of the night. You rise slowly, brushing the sand from your hands, your body light, your breath steady. The path of the beach extends forward, silver under moonlight. You step onto it, letting the sea's blessing carry you onward, deeper still. The shoreline stretches long and quiet, the tide slipping in and out with a softness that feels as if the whole sea is whispering you toward rest. Each step you take follows the rhythm of the waves, slow, unhurried, steady. The motif has become more than a sound. Now, it is your companion, your guide, your own heartbeat translated into ocean. Ahead, the beach narrows into a gentle headland. Low cliffs rise, but they are rounded, softened by time, their edges smooth beneath the moonlight. You walk toward them, the sand gradually giving way to firmer ground, a mix of rock and grass. The waves here are quieter, their song muted as they curl around the headland's base. It feels as though the sea too is preparing to rest, lowering its voice, tucking itself in. You pause at a small outcrop sitting where the rock is flat and smooth. From here you can see the water folding and unfolding, endless yet gentle. The moon rests just above the horizon, now silver light spilling across the waves in one final arc before dawn begins its hidden stirring. You feel the night deepening, gathering its calm around you. The air is cool, touched by salt and a faint grassy sweetness from the headland. You draw it into your chest, slowly, holding it there for a moment. Then exhale long and steady. With each breath, your body grows heavier, looser, softer. You notice your shoulders releasing, your hands resting easily, your legs sinking into the earth beneath you. The motif of the waves matches every inhale, every exhale, as though you and the ocean are breathing together. A micro story lingers here, told quietly in the villages. They say this headland was once the resting place of a great stone, carved with symbols of the sea. No one remembers when it was placed or who carved it, but fishermen believe that touching it before setting sail would ensure safe passage. Though the stone itself has long since slipped into the tide, the belief remains that this place is blessed, a threshold of safety and calm. You feel it even now, seated here, as if the ground itself remembers and shares that blessing with you. The motif shifts again, softer still, no longer a song of motion, but of stillness, of completion. The waves are not carrying you anywhere now. They are holding you exactly where you are, as though saying, "This is enough. You are enough. Rest is here." The stars above shimmer faintly, their light muted by the moon's glow. You watch them for a while, your eyes heavy, your breath even. It feels as though you are already drifting the world around you, becoming quieter, more distant, more dreamlike. For a moment, you close your eyes. Behind your lids, you still see the movement of waves, the shimmer of light on water. You feel the salt air brushing your face, the earth steady beneath you, the vast sky cradling you above. Everything is here. Nothing more is needed. When you open your eyes again, you notice a final path winding from the headland, leading gently downward. It glimmers, faintly lit by moonlight, carrying the promise of closure. You know it will lead you to the journey's resting place, where the night's gifts will settle fully into peace. You rise slowly, your body light, your heart calm, your steps steady. The sea hums behind you, the headland holds you, the night guides you onward. The path descends gently from the headland, winding toward a sheltered cove that feels hidden from the world. The sound of the waves your motif follows, faithfully, softer now than it has ever been. It is no longer a song of movement nor even of guidance, but a lullaby cradling you in its steady hush. Each step downward feels lighter, as though the earth itself is easing you into rest. The cove opens at last. It is small, intimate, framed by smooth rocks and bordered by soft sand. The tide is calm here, folding inward and outward with the gentlest rhythm. The water reflects the moon above silver, rippling into silver so that sea and sky appear as one. You step onto the sand, your feet sinking into its cool embrace, and you pause to listen. The only sound is the breathing of the sea, steady, unbroken, timeless. You walk slowly toward the water's edge and sit, letting the damp sand support you. Your hands rest loosely at your sides, your shoulders heavy, your breath slow. The night wraps around you like a blanket moonlight above salt air across your skin, the hush of waves within your chest. You realize that the motif, the sound of the waves, has become more than a companion. It has become you. Your body breathes as the ocean breathes. Your heart beats as the tide moves. You are not beside the sea, you are part of it. A micro story lingers in this cove, quiet as the tide itself. The locals say this was once a place where travelers came not to depart but to rest. They would leave their burdens in the sand, whispering them into the foam, trusting the waves to carry them away. In return, the sea offered dreams, calm, luminous dreams that lingered long after waking. You imagine those travelers here, seated as you are now, listening, as you are now, their hearts made light by the same lullaby. The motif softens once more, its meaning complete. It is the sound of arrival, of home, of being held. The waves tell you gently there is nothing left to do. You are safe. You are enough. Rest is here. You lean back, slowly lying against the sand. The grains shift to cradle you, shaping themselves around your body, grounding you in comfort. You look upward one last time. The stars wheel slowly across the sky, patient, eternal. The moon hangs steady, its light casting a silver path across the cove. You breathe in deeply and out, and everything in you loosens into stillness. The waves continue unbroken, their rhythm carrying you deeper into calm. The sea is endless, the night is endless, and within them you find your own endless peace. And so the journey closes not with departure, but with gentle belonging. You are part of the Portuguese coast now, part of its dusk, part of its calm waves and soft sky. The story has guided you here to this place of rest, and it will hold you for as long as you need. If you enjoyed this journey, you're welcome to join me again whenever you wish. There are many more stories waiting for you, ready to guide